So there'll be a few stragglers on from the earlier rounds, but for now, welcome to the EU tourney. There's been there's been a huge turnout actually. That's been really good, and it's been good to see a lot of sign-ups before the day of the actual tournament as well.
Yeah, for once. I think we had 20 about 2 days before, which is good to see for a change. But we're into our first game, RXP Swiss PC versus UFO Shinzo. RXP Swiss PC, I recognise, I think he's entered the last two tournaments. Shinzo might be a newcomer, I don't think I've seen that name.
Yeah, Shinto I haven't seen before, but Super Silver Nikali usually quite dangerous. But RXP is not a stranger to these tournaments at all. I think they've been a regular here, and they've usually made top 8 as well. So we've had the opportunity to watch them on stream quite a few times. But here they're on the way. Quite a hectic pace at the moment. Shinzo gets her on the corner fairly quickly, but the block DP gets cross countered immediately. RXP making sure to make full use of that cross counter damage. And again with the cross counter. And Nikali gets the old hot dog.
I did get the chance to play Swiss PC in last week's tournament. Must say, he's probably one of the more dangerous slaughterers we've had in this tournament, and we have had quite a few actually.
Yep.
Oh, please don't tell me that's a crash.
I think spectating has been halted, and so we'll be restarting fairly swiftly. But
that's unfortunate.
Yeah, that is unfortunate, but at least it wasn't too far in, and no one had taken a game there yet.
At least it's not like last week where it just kicked me and I missed one of the entire matches. Couldn't believe it.
So in the nature of these online tournaments, ping is going to vary and connection is going to vary, and Capcom servers are going to vary as well. So that's why we just restart everything.
I hope it's only me though, seeing Shinzo as a 2-bar connection. That would be
I'm seeing a 2-bar connection as well. It'll be unfortunate, but we will be restarting with the conditions that were in place, or at least trying our best to replicate the conditions that were in place once it did stop. So Shinzo will be giving a round to RXP as soon as we get this underway again. So it wouldn't be a Street Fighter 5 online tournament if there wasn't a hiccup at the beginning, but we are going to start underway. So like I said before, Shinzo will be giving a round to RXP, and then we'll be restarting as soon as possible. So just bear with us for a sec.
Don't think we've had a single tournament yet that hasn't had at least one match being stopped by this.
Well, with the nature of these tournaments, it's bound to happen at some point, even if we are only streaming top 8. But for the people who have just joined us, welcome to the EU tournament, which will be restarting after a slight technical hiccup, but Shinzo will be giving a round to RXP and then we'll be on the way.
Round 1. Fight!
Oh, maybe. Oh.
I think he's I
don't think anyone told them.
Yeah, I think he was told. He was told in the chat, but I think he's not seen it. So
it's too honourable to take the free round. God damn it. Or maybe there is a lag. This doesn't look like a clean... I don't know, I can't tell. There's no lag on my end, but there might be in the game.
Yeah, we're just seeing a
lot of erratic
organizer. He's just trying to get through to Shinzo that he needs to give that first round.
Great first game next stream.
RXP's got the memo as well.
Love it. C-Stream, you all think this is like erratic play, but what they're actually doing is getting reads on each other. This is how you do it. You just stand still and stare each other down.
Yeah, just bear with us. We're just trying to get through to Shinzo. And make sure they get the no-no.
Round 2. Fight.
High level tournament, this guys.
So it's always
It's the way he takes a few hits and then stops for about 10 seconds and then goes back and hits.
We should be checking the chat regularly throughout these if he gets pinged, but I think he's
Don't think he cares, to be honest.
I think he's only going to read the chat after his game is done. If he just takes this one hit, there we go.
Nikali wins.
So just bear with us again. We're just going to get them both in the lobby and just explain that Shinzo needs to give a round.
It's go time.
So we're going to try this for a third time. And hopefully this time it'll go a little better.
Yeah, so nobody's up yet. RXP should be up around once we get this on the way yet again. I won't be playing him, but RXP will be playing him, so we'll be. Hopefully, this one should go a bit smoother than the last time.
At this point, if we were a real tournament, we would have just DQ'd Shinzo already. But we're kind of forgiving here. Too forgiving, some might say.
Yes, well, it is the nature of these sorts of tournaments where people do need to check the chat once in between rounds or if they're pinged. But yes, as we wait for RXP to take the round that they deserve, then we will be underway. Yurifo Shinzo, from what I saw, kind of a fast match actually. That first round that did actually go in, kind of hectic, and there wasn't. He did get caught with a few unfortunate cross counters that RXP was making sure to capitalize on. And we have said in past tournaments that one of the big causes of a loss is that people just aren't taking advantage of the maximum damage from punishes, from cross counter punishes.
So much of that last week.
Yeah, and you really need to take advantage of cross counter punishes to the full. But here we go. This will be a proper round, and they'll be playing as normal here. And here we go underway. So Shinzo in with a nice tick command grab. But he's lost his hot dog, but he does get a V-skill off. Nice anti-air DP from Shinzo, and RXP really trying to lay on the pressure now. Nikali, a fairly hard character to pressure. You never really know when to expect that DP of his, and he does have some nice normals to sort of push you off, but he does use the V reversal there. A lot of Nikalis do usually tend to save their V meter for that V trigger of his.
Those anti-air DPs are so on point. He presses a button and gets hit by the weight of critical art.
Yeah, something that's really key in these sorts of ranks is making sure you anti-air properly. You can really win a lot of matches just by anti-air and good defense alone. But he's jumping a lot here. RXP is not really demonstrating as much anti-air as we'd like to see, but Shindo does take this round.
Yeah, I did not like that jumping then. Goes for the cross up and completely whiffs.
But RXP going straight in with the double dash into the elbow, but Shinzo again warding her off with the DP to break that block string. Nice command grab and follows up with the DP. I think
these anti-air DPs are
again
so
with the
good.
anti-air. Again with the anti-air, these are really on point. I don't think I've seen a DP that's actually missed.
He is really on point with his DP. He's got so much damage out of it.
And of course, Nikali, always dangerous in the corner. He didn't even have to activate his V trigger for that one, but gets the win nonetheless.
Fair play to RXP if he wanted to try and jump in once or twice, maybe test it, but once you get hit with 2 DPs from anti-air, you've got to stop jumping.
Yeah, you
Show
would
him a
have
little
hoped
respect.
RXP would have learned from the last game, and we probably shouldn't see as much jumpings in this one. We know how good Shinzo is at DPing anti-air. Not even using the jab, using the full damage option there. But RXP just doing his best to pressure him again with the jump and again with the
So
anti-air, the
good.
DP anti-air. Again, those anti-airs really on point, and I think really causing RXP to get a bit flustered every time, because jumping does seem to be a big source of their damage at the moment, of their offense.
I think I
But
can
Shinzo does bait out the dash with the neutral jump and punishes accordingly.
actually not
That
seeing
is
a lot of those
unfair.
fireballs from Swiss PC. I'd like to see just a bit more.
Yeah, using the fireball to sort of ward off his fairly relentless offense at the moment. Gets the crush counter with the sweep and has the presence of mind to corner carry her as soon as Shinzo knocks him down. But
DP.
another DP, and this one should land as well, using 2 meters of air,
Wake up
But
super
RXP
lands again.
anticipating the offense and landing the wake up super.
Too much button pressing by RXP there.
Yeah, the life lead is too
Just
too large
block.
to really be pressing buttons like that. Especially against the Nikali with full V trigger and activated V trigger. So this one does go to Shinzo. And let's see as RXP will get knocked down.
Yeah, I'm sorry I did not update the score anyway. I was actually too enthralled by that match. It was actually, I don't know, just watching that Nikali was quite fun. Definitely the best
Yeah.
anti-airs I've seen in the tournament since I've started competing or watching.
Yeah, it's quite rare you see someone at these ranks with really so consistent with the anti-airs and the DPs. I'm pretty sure we didn't actually see a DP that was blocked or missed. So next in the bracket we will move on to Senza versus Shadow Yuri. Shadow Yuri's been around before. I'm not sure if he's participated in this
I
tournament before,
think-
but he has made it into
yeah.
top 8 this time.
I've seen him in the Discord quite a lot this week. Don't think I've had the chance to play with him yet, so quite interested to see.
So we'll just wait for Senza and Shadow Yuri to arrive. But yeah, that last match, it's quite rare we see anti-airs at this level so consistent. Especially not a lot of people will just really settle with the jab, but doing it with the DP pretty much every single time someone jumps in, great sense of mind, great sort of presence of mind to sort of get that off. And we also saw some stuff that we didn't really see a lot from players at this level. That he had sort of the presence of mind when he had knocked RXP down, sort of dash in and keep corner carrying him to make sure that RXP was in the corner as soon as they woke up. And Nikali, as I'm sure a lot of people know, extremely deadly in the corner. But we have Senzo and Shadow Yuri in the lobby now, and they should be underway very shortly. But we've never seen either of these two play. I'm not sure if they've made the top 8 before.
Possibly another Laura. EU has so many Lauras.
Yeah, Laura does seem really popular in the EU, especially compared to other territories where you don't really see many, especially in.
I can't think of
level.
any in NA, for instance. There
No,
might be
and,
one or two, but
not really seen many Asian Lauras coming over as well in tournaments. EU does seem to be a hotbed for Laura players. but we've had that's 2 Lauras in the top 8 so far. Last time we did have 2 Vegas in the top 8, so
We do have 1 Vega this time. Unfortunately, our 2 Vegas met each other in top 16, which is unfortunate.
yeah, unfortunately, that was unfortunate.
You've been tutoring them both. I wanted to see them both play in top 8.
But Shadow Yuri and Senza will be on the way here. Senza with the classic Ryu choice.
Fight.
Against Shadow Yuri, we've already seen Allura. Not sure how different they will be from RXP. But starting very cagey, Senza happy to lob the fireballs and keep her range. Nice anti-air to air with the light kick. And jumps in immediately. Something I've noticed with a lot of these Lauras is that they don't anti-air too much. They don't really make use of the that bolt anti-air. But this one's starting a lot less hectic than the last. Laura does tend to dominate a lot of the offense here, but a lot of them starting cagey. Both of them quite happy to stay in neutral, but successfully predicts the fireball, gets a jump in. The reset doesn't work out, gets a block, but that is a block DP, and there we see again not capitalizing on that full cross counter punish. But she does have the life lead now. Let's see if she can use that V reversal. Doesn't put him into the mix up. Both of them happy to spend meter to get rid of the fireball and really dominate their space in the neutral. The sweep not punished. Sweep is
Does close the round out in the end though.
Sweep is punishable. It does depend on the range, but they did use the wrong normal for that.
Round 2.
But Shadow Yuri up with 1 round. Senza trying to scope him out with the dash forward, dash back. But both of them quite happy to stay in the neutral this time. Luras do tend to dash in a lot, they do tend to be fairly aggressive, but Shadow Yuri content to sort of play Ryu's game and stay at space. Not quite sure if that's the best choice of strategy against Ryu, but Senza seems to be happy to play along with that as well. And nice decking from Shadow Yuri. Senza trying to go in with the dash in and throw. But you can see Senza sort of trying to scope him out with the crouching medium kick, just sort of walking up, trying to catch him walking back. And he does get the DP to finish things off fairly comfortably in this round, compared to the last round.
Final round.
And they will take it to the final round here in this first game. Once again, fairly cagey, just scoping themselves out. Senza using the target combo into the throw on wake up. And Senza, again with the jump isn't really being punished here by Shadow Yuri. It's an opportunity for Senza to get a bit jump happy, since they're not really taking the time to anti-air, not really thinking about whether he's going to jump again. Another jump there, see? Not an anti-air, not really really present for Shadow Yuri at the moment. Senza, with a much better presence of mind, does get the anti-air from her jump-ins. And then meaties them on wake up, catches them with a DP, and there we have Shadow Yuri being knocked into the tomb there. So a solid round from Senza, I think. Penguin, we can see there Senza being fairly active with the anti-airs. He's anti-airing Shadow Yuri a lot, but Shadow Yuri doesn't really seem to be anti-airing too much in response to that.
Round 1. Fight.
Here we start off with Senza up by 1 game in this first to 2 set. So Shadow Yuri really needs to take this if they are to prevent themselves getting knocked into losers. But Shadow Yuri really pressing the issue here a lot more than in the last game. Not really too content to stay back, but they are happy to walk back from the corner. And the throw game from Ryu, always so dangerous. And baits the elbow out with the backdash, punishes with the EX fireball, and again with the EX fireball, but the meter doesn't really pay off. And the reset doesn't quite pay off, but does get Senza to very low life. Shadow Yuri within an inch of victory, and there we have it with the throw. That's a good round from Shadow Yuri, really being more aggressive than we've seen them in the last
Round 2.
Yeah, I feel like with Laura, you really just need to go ham. Need to
Yeah,
be utilising that mix-up game.
I feel Senza can be. There are some holes there which you can sort of poke.
Yeah.
It does seem to be getting flustered once you sort of up the pace. If you follow, it seems like if you follow Senza's pace during the round, he's fairly comfortable. But I think if Shadow Yuri can really press the issue here and get Senza into the corner and really press him with those reset mix-ups, those 50-50s, then that should be a really big problem for Senza. But Senza here again in danger of losing this game. Laura's V-reversal very good, but Senza replying with his own V-reversal, and he does get the target combo off. But Shadow Yuri now again a few hits away from taking this second game between Senza and Shadow Yuri.
Ooh, misses the
He does attempt the anti-air there, but does get caught on the fireball on his way trying to punish
say you
that.
wanted to see it, but unfortunately it missed.
Yes, he did try with the anti-air this time, but it didn't work out. Hopefully it doesn't prevent him from attempting more anti-airs, because that really does dictate how well you do in neutral, especially at this level.
Round
But
one.
they are one apiece, and we will be going into the final game in the set between Senza and Shadow Yuri. And again, Shadow Yuri fairly happy to sort of step back a little bit and try and get a read on this Senza, who is quite solid Ryu, but a sweep there, not punished. That is
A lot of unsafe sweeps this game, and
yeah,
no
there is a
punishes
lot
on
of
them.
sweeps. And you do really need to punish those again with the raw sweep. Usually Ryus tend to sweep a lot when they do have V-trigger, but Senza does have V-trigger now that he can activate. Doesn't choose to activate it and should really be punished fully with those raw sweeps. He's not cancelling those sweeps into V-trigger, which he really needs to do if he wants to capitalize on that. And Senza getting killed without activating his V-trigger. He had a lot of opportunity to do so with all those sweeps that he was throwing. And happy to spend the meter to get to Shadow Yuri in the neutral. And again with the raw sweep, there has been a lot of raw sweeps that we've seen in this set so far. But Shadow Yuri pressing a lot more, does get them with the command grab, baits out the DP with a lovely dash. And this should be a full damage combo here. And he's really within a few hits of losing the set completely. The fireball does reach him, but he does wisely choose to V-reversal. And he does try and mount his comeback here. Both sort of staring each other down as they sort of crouch and are fairly afraid to press buttons, but Senza trying to figure out what to do, because he's within maybe a hit or two of losing this set. But Shadow Yuri does read the fireball, jobs the fireball. That is it's quite a dangerous range for Ryu to be throwing fireballs. As you can see, he can quite easily jump over that and punish. And Shadow Yuri knocks Senza down into losers there. So well played from Shadow Yuri. Did make some good adjustments from the first game.
It's go time.
But we did see a lot of raw sweeps there, didn't we?
Yeah, way too many.
You do really need to be punishing those sweeps. Pretty much every sweep should be fairly punishable. And quite unusually, we weren't seeing Senza cancelling his sweeps into V-trigger, which most Ryus tend to do, especially since it's just a good opportunity to make sweeps safe and really get your V-trigger off quite safely.
Old Man Grump in chat asked, can you actually punish Ryu's sweep with Laura's sweep? I'm not too sure.
Not too sure on the frames there, but I'm guessing there is quite a few things that you can punish.
Definitely, I imagine you'd just be able to punish it with the elbow, to be honest.
But we will be moving on to Grimwood versus Omnishambles. Omnishambles we've seen before last week, top 8. It was a Vega that did make it into top 8. I think actually one of the Vegas that got matched in a mirror match again in last week's top 8.
Was Omnishamble? I'm pretty sure Omnishambles with the person I got in losers finals.
I think it might have been actually.
Yeah.
They did get matched in the mirrors just before. I think when you were knocked into the losers finals.
I'm interested to see this actually. I want to see if he worked on any of his issues. I recall a lot of raw slides into block and a lot of unsafe rolls.
Yeah, the rolls was what really stuck out for me last week. At least we do have one Vega in the top 8 here, but let's see if he's learned from last week where he did throw a lot of medium kick rolls. But we'll just wait for Omni Shambles to make his way into the lobby. He will be up against Grimwood 96, a Mika player by the looks of it, so I think you're in your element here, Penguin.
Yes! At last! I get to commentate on Mika. Oh, I'm so happy.
So this is, I guess, shades of our regular matches, actually. It's
Yeah,
a
it will
against
be.
Mika. But this matchup, not really too favourable for Mika, if I have to say myself.
No.
But Omni Shambles he's quite an active Vega, quite a sort of hyper Vega even. He does throw a lot of those raw throws which Mika can really easily punish into an easy 50-50 situation if she does get him into the corner. But Omni Shambles shouldn't have too much trouble with just using footsies in the neutral, with punishing occasionally with his claw on. But you can also do it with his claw off. It's really not that great a matchup for Mika if Omni Shambles does do a good job of keeping her out. But I think we did see, I'm not sure if it was Omni Shambles last week against Geef.
Yes,
Sure
it
if
was.
it was the one.
Actually, was it? We did have two, so I'm not sure, but I'm going to say yes. You'll know actually if it's Omni Shambles because he'll never wear the claw.
Yeah, he does. One of the Vegas were quite keen on keeping the claw off.
This is going to be interesting. Will he wear the claw into the Mika matchup?
Yeah, it's Vega can perform fairly well even with the claw.
Yeah.
Once you do knock Mika down, she's almost as vulnerable as Vega is actually. So if he does get a good Oki game going, if he does get some good mix-ups going, then Grimwood might have quite a bit of trouble actually. But it goes the other way. If Grimwood can catch them with the Irish whip and get them into the corner potentially, then that could easily be the round for Grimwood. So it's a matchup where everything can hinge on one knockdown.
Pretty much. I've always felt, well, I've started to recently feel this entire matchup just goes on who got knocked down first.
Yeah, pretty much. There's a lot of guessing involved actually between both trying to read Vega's Oki and trying to read what Mika's going to choose between command throwing and meeting into another clap, into another Irish whip. But bear with us for a sec. We are just waiting for the two to accept their invites into the lobby, but they are back in here and they should be ready to go just about now. So we'll just get into the match.
How lucky have we got here though to commentate this match of all matches?
Yeah, this is a match
that
we regularly have between ourselves, the Mika versus the Vega, but it could be quite different between these two. I wouldn't be surprised if they had very different playstyles from what we usually play out the matchup as. So it'd be quite interesting to see if Omni Shambles opts for his claw on or his claw off at the beginning. But a lot of Mika's normals are fairly easy to whiff punish, so you can see if Omni Shambles has the presence of mind. Omni Shambles the Ultra Silver versus Grimwood the Super Silver, so fairly high up in their respective ranks. But Omni Shambles choosing to keep the claw on, I think he's going to try and keep her out with a good neutral game with footsies, but Grimwood, you can see there with the clap, tries to go for the mix up, but Omni Shambles does manage to guess right and jump over it. But Grimwood now pressing a lot. Omni Shambles does land a medium kick roll. You saw a lot of these last week, but opts not to go for the mix-up after the flying Barcelona, but Grimwood does catch him with the Nadeshko V-trigger.
Does not get a full punish off that blocked roll. But we are seeing it from Omni Shambles, these unsafe rolls. And the slides, but he does make that slide safe with V-trigger, which is clever.
Yes, the slide can be confirmed into V-trigger if it is blocked, and that can catch a lot of people out because they're really eager to punish that slide. So you do have to watch out when Vegas get a bit slide happy with full V-trigger, because a lot of the time they will just cancel it into V-trigger to make it safe and to catch you out. And it does do a fair bit of damage. V-Trigger can really add to your damage potential if he uses it correctly. But both of them really sitting on full super here, so a lot of them have a lot of damage potential here.
Just goes for the Rory SP.
Grimwood really keen to break the offense of Omnishambles with the armor move, but misses the opportunity to get the Irish Whip there. And nice meaty from Omnishambles, did read the wake up buttons from Grimwood. And again with the meaties, but misses the target combo, should have gone for the roll there, but gets the kill anyway with the roll.
Vega wins.
Grimwood just not being able to get Omnishambles into the corner to start his reset game, missing out on a lot of damage.
Yeah, he's not really been able to settle down because Omnishambles is really pressing the pace of the match, and Vega is very good at pressing the pace of the match, raising the bar, raising the speed, so people can't really keep up. Vega is a character who you need to think very quickly because he can press the issue quite quickly. He's a very fast character, but he did get a good counter hit confirm actually, which is very impressive to see, especially at this level. But now he's more content to take his claw off, and that can work. He doesn't confirm the roll, but does catch Grimwood with it anyway. Grimwood threatening with the V-Trigger, but doesn't really capitalize on it. And Omnishambles is fine to use his V-Trigger to really get himself out of trouble, which is an option. Misses the Flying Barcelona follow-up for the mix-up potentially, and does get caught by Grimwood. And he missed his punish combo as well, which could have easily been the round. But he's now caught in the mix-up, and both of them now within a hit of victory here, and could have punished that with the jumping medium kick, but gets caught with the V-Trigger at full screen, something you don't see a lot. But
really need to see Grimwood pull off an anti-air at some point, because there was a moment there where one anti-air from him would have won the round.
There were quite a few moments. I think they were both panicking a little bit with such low life. Plenty of opportunities for both of them to finish off these rounds actually, within a good time. But both of them now going back at it with Omnishambles at match point here. But nice punish with the slide. Could have gone for the crouching medium kick there, but settles with that punish. Now in the corner with the Miko mix-ups. A tick throw from the jump.
Checks him with the forward heavy punch. Gets
up
the
with the
crush
kill.
counter.
Final round. Fight.
Don't press buttons on wake up in the corner, guys. Not against me yet.
And not against Vega either. He's very good at meeting and getting his command grabs on you. So really, a lot of these, both of these players should really be blocking on wake up if they can, if they're not reading the command grab, in which case they could be jumping away.
Grimwood
blocks the
whiffing a lot of these command grabs on wake up as well. Try
And catching
catch
with the raw drop kick, you can simply just backdash and whiff punish, or just walk back and whiff punish. You can even just interrupt it in the middle of its start with a standing medium punch actually.
Ooh, gets 2 counter hits off the clap, but is not able
Very
to
fond of
convert.
using that. He's very fond of using that armor move to just sort of get himself out of trouble whenever he's getting hit too much. But that slide should be punished, and that does end the round. Not a very well-timed slide from Omnishambles, who did actually have the V-Trigger and could have made it safe quite easily, but chose not to use the V-Trigger, and he was sitting on full V-Trigger and full super, which you never really want to do at the end of a round, do you?
Grimwood getting out of trouble quite a few times with the wake up EX Peach. So quick tip to anyone who's curious, that doesn't have armor on frame 1, there's frame 3 the armor goes active. So if you check that with the true meaty, it will beat the EX Peach out. So hopefully Omnishambles knows that and is able to beat it out.
Yeah, I think if one thing Omnishambles can take away from this set is that meaties really do have to be on point, especially with characters with those sorts of armor moves. It's not a true invincible reversal. But Omnishambles changing his strategy a bit, but he is happy to keep the claw on, but he does take it off halfway through the round. Some Vegas are quite fond of switching up their styles in between. Doesn't confirm that roll, but not a full punish from Grimwood. Remember that roll of his is never safe on block.
You can punish the unsafe roll with a medium punch into Shooting Peach. Can't get the Irish whip off it, so I'd like to see a better punish from Grimwood.
Yeah, it may just be a case of both of these players needing to do their homework. Some things not really going punished there. Some of them sometimes allowed to throw out unsafe things in relative safety. But it only took a few lights from Grimwood to finish off that round after the cross up. And now it's Grimwood who's within one round of taking this. But now both of them are a lot more cagey. Omni Shambles knows that he really needs to take this round if he is to progress.
Don't like these drop kicks from full screen.
It is something that Mika's at this level tend to do. They do tend to throw.
I've tended to do, and but it's horrible to watch them.
It's extremely punishable.
Yeah, especially as Vega, you can just check that with a heavy punch.
But really being caught in the throw mix-up, I think he had an accidental throw input there because he did throw when he was way out of range, which did mess up his OT game. But again, I'm not sure if he's confirming those rolls from the
It seems to be
punch.
quite random.
But he's really within the hit of losing this, but does get a V-trigger and into the super, because that is an option for Vega, especially with full V-trigger and full super. Remember, Vega is extremely dangerous when he does have a V-trigger and super stocks, because he can cancel pretty much anything into V-trigger and get the full super effort for usually at least 50%.
I've watched Omni Shambles in 2 tournaments now. I've watched him in last week's beginner and last week's weekly. I've not seen him miss a single critical art yet. If there's one thing he can do really well, it's confirm his critical art.
Yeah, the critical art does provide Vega with a lot of damage. A lot of the time, not particularly available to Vega because his EX Flying Barcelona is so useful for damage and mix
you
up
never use it.
Yeah, I never use it personally because I don't ever get to, because I'm always using that EX meter. But some Vegas are content to really save up that super for the big burst damage. But Grimwood does catch him with the V-trigger mix-up into the regular throw. I think there might be a slight bit of lag, or I'm not sure if they're just poking each other in the neutral from full screen.
One more mix-up though from Grimwood will finish us. One more from Omni Shambles will.
Yeah, and again, not confirming into that, and not punishing from Grimwood. So
it's just going for the stamp light kick to get him off.
You can see the lack of matchup knowledge from both of these. A lot of things going on punished there.
Oh, that's
and again, he didn't confirm that roll for sure. But
that
he
was
does get this
completely unsafe.
That's the second time we've seen him do that. But the unsafe roll did pay off for him because he does take the round.
Omni Shambles getting away with murder there. Really should have been over for him right there.
Yeah, if there was one thing that that Grimwood needed to do is just to block more.
Yeah,
he was getting caught with a lot of blocked crouching medium punches straight into rolls, which weren't being confirmed. So those really needed to just be blocked fully. I think he might have just been too eager to punish those rolls. But good showing from Omni Shambles. The only Vega that I've seen in this top 8 so far does progress on, and he will face Senza later on. But for now, we have Moondog TV into. We'll be facing off against Jab Jab. The winner of this should be off against RXP, as you can see.
I need to reach out to Grimwood. That is the only other EU Mika. I'm not going to let him get away.
I think we've chosen our proteges for this through this tournament.
I know who I'm backing from now on. I hope he comes back next week. I really do.
Well, this is a highly professional tournament, in which case we have no biased commentary here.
Well, all the commentators in FGC have bias.
But we'll be moving on, and we'll just be Moondog to receive his invite. Jab Jab I can see as Balrog, which we don't often see in these top 8s on these streams. I'm quite curious to see how Jab Jab sort of performs. A lot of Balrogs do tend to vary a lot, like Vega actually, in terms of how different players can have different playstyles with Balrog. Some of them do like to really be offensive, some of them extremely defensive, so it can really vary. But Balrog against Alex is a very fun matchup to watch usually, so should be in for a good game.
Let's do this.
Yeah,
I suspect we'll see. Suspect we'll see a lot of these two waiting at full screen a lot because they both
Yeah.
have really dangerous dashes and dash moves.
whose move wins out? Alex's elbow or Balrog's dash punch?
I wouldn't be able to say. I think it depend on the timing. I'm not sure if who'd win if they'd.
I want to see them
they,
both collide at the exact same time.
If we see a double KO here, we've called it first. Double KO with a dash punch into the dash, charge elbow.
Yeah, Scrimwood. He's gonna be back every week. I'm so happy.
I think the rest of the tournament regulars weep at the concept of another
Yes.
Mika just as one.
I love
leaves.
that though. I just left being the only Mika, and another one joins. There's always one of us. Can't get away.
But then here we go, Jab Jab, the aptly named Jab Jab, very suitable for his choice of character against Moondog TV, who does choose the very visually striking Halloween costume for Alex, but really pressing the issue here from the get-go, really pressing with those lariat mix-ups into those command throws, and make sure to wind up and get the full crush counter from that, and gets the full corner damage from there. Really loads of damage from Jab Jab, and he's got an uphill struggle here to really make it back, but he does have Moondog in the corner here. If he gets even the correct mix-up, Balrog is extremely dangerous when he does have V-Trigger. He can really just take a round if he gets in the corner, but Moondog just outranging him there. He does have very long range in the neutral. He should be able to outrange Jab Jab at that distance. But Moondog throwing an unsafe special into Jab Jab's block. But goes for the lariat mix-up. It doesn't really pay off. He does miss the command throw. But Jab Jab doing a much better performance here. And Jab Jab does have him in the corner again, but Moondog, Alex extremely dangerous when he does a V-Trigger. Yeah, you can just parry anything you have, and he does throw the raw V-Trigger out. But Jab Jab cancelling his normal straight into the V-Trigger. Could have finished it there, but chooses to spend the meter and trade with Moondog, so he is a meter down, but he does get the round, and we are taking it to one apiece in this first game between Jab Jab and Moondog. So we've got Jab Jab, who's decided to take a slightly more aggressive approach here, but we've seen this, we sort of predicted it slightly, where a lot of these characters do stand at full screen from each other a lot of the time, because the dash punch and those dash moves are really dangerous and really hard to react to, especially when you are playing at this level. But Moondog tries to air, and it doesn't quite pay off. I'm not sure if that was a mischarge input, but they are sort of trading blows here, really in the thick of things, really making sure to take their turns here. But Moondog does get him into the lariat mix-up. Remember, that is essentially a 50-50 with Jab Jab, no option of an invincible reversal there to get out of it.
Oh, that was cute.
And
Fames off the V-Trigger.
goes straight into the stomp upon his wake up. You can see there Jab Jab finishing off with full V-Trigger and full, I believe full super, which you never really want to, no one really ever feels good if they finish on full meter, because there's so many wasted resources there. Not really seen too much V-Trigger from Jab Jab actually, and V-Trigger is so important to Balrog's game. But Moondog starts off immediately with the long range kick. And Jab Jab really needs to make a few adjustments to his game here, because he is getting caught out by a lot of these stray moves from Moondog, and he's also getting caught by these lariat mix-ups as well. But Jab Jab trying to really press the issue here. He's really trying to up his offense, and you can see him with the throw game, which you don't often see from a lot of Balrogs, but it does work for him. It does whiff punish the attempted sweep with the dash punch. But here's where Moondog's really dangerous here, with an activated V-Trigger and opportunity to punish, but Jab Jab just lives up to his name and just jabs him back to zero. So Jab Jab here with a few more adjustments that he's made to his game to take the first round, but he's in quite big trouble here. He's in danger of getting stunned with Moondog getting him in the corner. The stun is still there, and if he does get stunned, that could easily be the round, but the stun dissipates. Jab Jab does get himself out of trouble and throws him to reverse their positions with Jab Jab in the corner.
full meter and V-trigger again, please.
Again, with
Finally
the
pops
V-trigger,
V-trigger.
and he can take this round just from that V-trigger.
One more.
V-trigger is so dangerous. Moondog whiffing 2 throws in a
Surely.
row.
Oh, he misses.
Doesn't
crush
catch the
counter
juggle.
punish. Oh, that was
And
heartbreaking.
Moondog does catch him with the stomp again. You do need to block that high.
Final round.
But Moondog playing very well to bring himself back. Jack
Yeah.
wasn't quite capitalizing on his V-trigger. He did miss a few combos as well. A few things dropped.
Like I said at the start, guys, you cannot afford to drop punishes like that. Literally would have won in the round, won in the game.
Yeah, it's really the punishes that really kill people when they're not making full use of those. But
Nuts.
he is stunned there.
Yeah.
See, we did see how Moondog get him in the corner with a high stun at that point, and Moondog will take this second game. So really well played by Moondog, especially to get himself out of trouble in that round where he had such low health. That was a really good composure actually there to bring it back. Alex really dangerous when he does get the V-trigger and does start bringing on the pressure. But well done to both. We will be moving on to winners. So Shinzo will face off against Shadi Yuri, and the winner of that can just sort of wait and relax and just wait until the losers sort of duke it out. That will be Shinzo versus Shadi Yuri. So Moondog there will progress to face off against RXP, the tournament top 8 regular. See if RXP can best him there to make it into the grand finals for the first time. It's nice to see some
RXP, I think
recruitment
RXP has been in grand finals once before, runner-up.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I can't remember who he played.
But it's a long way up from losers bracket, and here in the winners bracket we will be moving on to Shinzo and Shadi.
Ah, it was Blizzcroft. It was Blizzcroft and RXP.
Right.
That was
the Alex, wasn't it?
Yeah. Didn't enter this week, I don't think.
But we do still get some Alex representation in the top 8.
We always do in EU. There's quite a few Alexes as well.
Yeah, Alex and Laura are both very popular.
I would say they're
EU.
probably the two most represented characters I've seen in tournaments.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with you there. I've seen a lot of these in top 8s on stream. But Shinzo, we've been against RXP earlier on in the stream. Really dangerous with those DP anti-airs. So he's up against another Laura here in Shadi Yuri. Let's see if Shadi Yuri decides to jump a bit less, or maybe test him out a little bit and see how his reactions are. But we saw how on point his DPs are against the last batch against RXP. But we have a repeat matchup here with Nikali against Laura. But we can see if Shadi Yuri's learnt from his previous rounds, or if he watched the round with RXP, if he's made any adjustments. If he has been watching, then I'd be surprised if I see him jumping too much.
Oh god, yeah.
Seen how dangerous Shinzo can get with the anti-airs.
Round 1.
Facing off here in the training stage, we've had that a lot in the past few weeks. But misses that V-skill. That V-skill very dangerous when you're in the neutral and you're in jumping range. You shouldn't really be too predictable with it. And now pressuring with the dive kick and goes back into neutral. Shinzo fairly patient, Nikali, when he's not on the offense. And he doesn't get the anti-air off there. He does let Shadi Yuri jump in with the kick.
Ooh, gets crush counter, but
Gets crush
no
counter,
real punish or
Really
mix
should have
up.
been a command grab if they could. And again with the DP, again I don't think we've seen a DP that's been blocked or missed so far from Shinzo, but he does block the mix-up, goes into V-trigger, and Nikali very dangerous at this stage, especially when you do have about half health. And
Nearly
again,
on full
anti-air
meter.
with the DP. Now
One
with
more
full
hit
meter
now.
can easily take this round. And does
Doesn't
get
need to
the
spend
throw
it.
mix-up.
I love that.
Doesn't even bother to spend his
Yeah.
super to finish off the round, which I personally would have been quite content to.
I agree
But
with
resets
Michael.
him back to the throw.
Training stage should be banned. I agree.
but we do start off this second round fairly cagey compared to the last, with Shinzo up by 1. But Shadow Yuri does get the cross up and now gets Nikali in the corner. Lura quite dangerous at this point because can get a lot of mix-up potential when she does have you in the corner.
Nikali has got V-Trigger now though. 1 hit now into a very powerful.
We've seen how dangerous Shinzo can be with the V-Trigger, but Shadow Yuri does get themselves really out of trouble with the armor of that EX move.
Doesn't want to spend it there.
Shinzo being very reluctant to
Surely?
spend his meter at this point, but he does spend the meter
Nice.
to get this round. He was in danger of losing it, but he does happily spend the meter quite wisely to finish off the whole game.
Shinzo playing it very dangerously. I think what he realised on that first time he could have activated, he probably realised it wouldn't have killed, so he kept it. I
Yeah,
thought,
there was
I'll
no
do
guarantee
it. I'll
of the
do it.
damage
I'll
there.
do it next time.
But Shinzo, we've seen has some good sort of presence of mind, good awareness to really be thinking about these things when, especially against someone like Laura, where the pace can get a bit hectic.
Gets the anti-air jab into a
Nice
full
cross under.
damage.
But getting in trouble again with another DP.
I really like these DPs from Shinzo. He's not using them too much, so they become predictable. Just
Yeah,
keep
that's
catching out with them.
That's a tip to any beginners that you've seen there in the stream. It is completely fine to wake up with DPs. You just really got to choose. Make sure your timing is unpredictable. That's what makes a lot of players at the top level really dangerous. And again, the anti-air DP, and he does get some free V meter with the V skill. Remember, it doesn't really matter if the V skill is blocked because the main objective of that V skill, that ground pound, is to simply just build meter for that really dangerous V trigger there. And you can see Shinzo not really lost much life, but he is on 1.5 bars of V meter already, really on his way to getting that V trigger with 2 bars now.
Does eat the overhead,
But he seems fairly comfortable in the corner. He does manage to jump out without much trouble from Shadow Yuri. And
the
does
overhead
make it
then
back to the
immediately
screen.
tick throws Shadow Yuri.
But in V-Trigger now, we've seen how
That's-
dangerous he is in V-Trigger and
the game.
wisely spends the meter again to finish
Are
off
we
the
there?
game.
It's best 3, isn't it? Winners final. So
Yeah, this is winners
still
final, so-
one more chance for Shadow Yuri.
Shadow Yuri does have an uphill struggle, but it is possible that they can take it from 2-0 down. But really solid from Shinzo, we've seen.
Yeah, no offense to anyone still in the tournament, but UFO Shinzo looking like the standout favourite here. Really
Yeah, I
solid play.
I think any of the remaining players should really pay attention to these anti-airs, but they've gone out of the match so far. I'm not sure if they were
It
aware.
might not have been set to first 3.
It was set to the first
Oh.
three, I did see.
And maybe they didn't realise. Don't leave, guys.
It's go time.
But we will be restarting fairly shortly. I think one of them must not have realised that this is first to 3 once we get to winners finals or losers finals or grand finals. So do just bear with us a sec.
Let's do this.
But we will be going back into this match between Shinzo and Shadow Yuri to see if Shadow Yuri has made any adjustments from that quick pause in play.
Hopefully he's listening to the stream. Don't jump at all. I think the only time it was safe for him to jump that entire game was when he was literally face to face with Nikali.
Yeah, I
He
really
did
do
get
think
the
that.
crosswalk, but
I really
he
do think that this
switched.
whole stream the main takeaway from this. But we've got Shadow Yuri with the change of character. That is within the rules.
Oh,
If
I
you do
like
lose,
it.
you
I
are allowed
like
to change
this.
the character. But
We've never
really,
seen this.
choosing a different character here, and that is part of the adjustments, and that is within the rules to change character if you do lose, and that must have been the reason for the reset back into the lobby. But we are on the way with Shadow Yuri now as Chun-Li, and again with the anti-air DP, again dangerous with the defense. Defense can be just as dangerous as offense. And again another DP. Shadow Yuri really not learning how not to jump here. and I think that could be also down to Shinzo's really great neutral game. We've seen a lot of top players just say that to have a good foot season, have a good neutral game, you just have to have good anti-airs because they won't be able to jump over you.
Yeah, this Chun has no footies. I don't know what it has, to be honest. At the minute, you just sit on again. What the hell?
Very passive from Shadiyuri at the moment. Not much.
You can't play Chun passive. What are you doing? I was really hoping he was gonna pull off this Chun and just be doing like instant air legs flawlessly. I think I was hoping for too much.
And again, with the constant jumping, really not learning from these.
His jumping's even worse because now you're jumping with Chun and her quite floaty jump.
Yeah, Chun does have a much floatier jump than most of the other characters.
Doesn't punish the size mode.
I think Shadiyuri might be trying to predict those V skills and trying to jump over them, but I don't think it's really working out. And we've not really seen much action, but now Shadiyuri does have an opportunity in the corner.
I don't think he knows combos with Chun.
Yeah, I'm not really sure.
I don't like spending your V meter as Chun either for a V reversal. Chun's not got the best V reversal in the world.
But Shadiyuri does get the link into the EX legs.
How did he get that round, by the way? I wasn't really paying attention. Just a lot of stray hits.
And a lot of those hits can pay off a lot, but
yeah,
Shinzo just really, I think he's really watching out for that jump with those repeated V skills, trying to bait Shadiyuri into the jump. Shadiyuri doesn't take that bait. Already knows by now just how dangerous jumping against Shinzo can be, but he gets a link into the super, nice confirm from there, and that will take Shadiyuri dangerously close to losing this whole set. And again with the DPs, doesn't quite finish him off, and baits out the EX spinning bird, and gets with the crush counter overhead.
Polly wins.
So Shinzo will progress, Shadiyuri will be knocked down into losers to duke it out with the rest of. So Shinzo moves on. Shadiyuri knocked out of winners and knocked out, but well done there. And we'll be moving on to Senza versus Omni Shambles. Senza is quite a solid Ryu, and Omni Shambles we've seen quite a lot of Vega who does tend to throw quite a few unsafe things. So it'll be up to Senza to really get full punish, and against a character like Ryu, you really can't be throwing much unsafe stuff, can you?
no.
Especially with the damage potential that Senza does have.
I'd like to see someone consistently punish these rolls and slides. See, now when the Shambles get away with that far too much. I feel like the only way he's going to learn to stop doing it is if someone punishes him for it.
But Shadiyuri putting on a defiant performance still there, does get knocked into the losers finals, so whoever makes it through this bracket will be going on to face Shadiyuri there. Be interesting to see if he goes back to Laura.
Yeah, I don't want to see that Chun again, to be honest. Stick with the Laura. Admittedly, had two not great games, but not a particularly big fan of switching off your main mid set, unless you're infiltration.
Yeah, unless you really are equally solid between two characters at this stage of the tournament, it's usually not quite recommended. But if you do feel comfortable with the character and you do feel the matchup does put it back in your favour, then a lot of people do feel comfortable with changing characters at that point. But we'll be moving on now to Senza versus Omni Shambles. Omni Shambles we've seen before. Fairly active Vega, as a lot of them tend to be, and Senza, who's I'd say a more defensive, quite solid Ryu, actually. Fairly well rounded as the character tends to be. So we're going back to first to twos here in this lobby, and it won't go back to first to three until we reach losers finals against Shadiyuri, to whoever makes it out of this bracket here. But we'll be progressing here.
Did you just call Ryu well rounded? You've taken the piss.
Well rounded in the fact that he can do a bit of everything in that respect. Ryu is fair and balanced. China's
Yeah,
also
yeah.
fair and balanced.
Round one.
Anyway, all I want to see out of this is good punishers. That's all I ever want to see in this tournament.
Two of them facing off in the heart of London stage. And Omni Shambles, as we sort of expected, in his black and green colours, makes sure to press the offense straight away. But Senzo, we've seen quite defensive,
Yeah.
quite happy to sort of stay back and block and really punish accordingly. But gets caught by the slide of Omni Shambles. We can expect quite a few of those actually, and quite a few rolls that we've seen so far. But Senza really making sure to stay in the neutral.
Oh, again
he
with the
does.
unsafe sweep stuff.
If he does get that knockdown against Omni Shambles, Ryu does have a very good OK game, especially against someone like Vega who does not have many options on the wake up. But he misses the link, could have finished off the round there
Yeah,
with the target combo. But both of them on fairly dangerously low health.
completely
Tried to
whiffed
predict the
the
fireball,
victory
but even if he did predict the fireball, that probably would have whiffed. So
Ooh, does go for the
We've seen-
X-Boss line but pulls out.
I think a lot of the time you can sort of test the resolve of a Vega player if they do
Yeah.
throw a raw EX flying Barcelona from if they're in a desperate situation. And you can see Omni Shambles really resorting to that EX FBA, which just didn't really do much but waste meter for him really. But we've seen here, Senza happy to sit back and block and just really punish accordingly. Does attempt the meaty with the back heavy kick. And again with the raw FBA, but this time to trying to really just get him out of trouble, which is an option for a lot of Vegas, but throwing that...
Does punish the
He does
unsafe
know it's
roll.
unsafe, yeah.
Yes.
He does know it's unsafe. So we'll see if Omni Shambles does continue to not confirm from that crouching, and he's not confirming from that crouching medium punch again.
Oh, didn't learn his lesson.
And he
Goes for
should learn by
another
now.
unsafe roll.
He's been punished twice in fairly short space of time, so I would suspect that he at least try and confirm his medium kick rolls from his crouching medium punch. Another option from the crouching medium punch is to simply do EX roll if it's blocked, because that does keep you safe. If EX roll is safe, every single other throw is not safe. Roll, sorry. But both of them are playing in the neutral game at the moment, and we've seen where we can see an anti-air attempt from Omni Shambles. Doesn't quite work out, but does hit him anyway. Misses the meaty, but gets the counter hit off. Counter hit combo there, but doesn't link confirm into the EX roll, and tries to use the EX flying Barcelona, the normal flying Barcelona, and again getting punished for those rolls, but he does whiff the DP. Could have just gone for the target combo again into the V-trigger into the super, but crosses up with the hit Tatsu. And both of them really facing off. I think Senza does seem to be at least slightly familiar with these matchups with the punishing of the unsafe moves. I think Omni Shambles really just needs to confirm.
Yeah, that on full resource there. I do think he was looking for that critical art again. Maybe
Yeah.
should have pressed his advantage, or not his advantage, just pressed Ryu a bit more with those full resources.
Yeah, I think a lot of people at this level are often in danger of
Yeah.
sort of seeing their full super bar and really like banking everything on that full super as soon as they see it. But sometimes when the situation presents itself, sometimes using EX is
Yeah.
the better option.
Especially when you have a tool like EX Flying Barcelona, you should probably be using that a lot more.
Yeah, absolutely, especially when it has such mixed up potential. And the medium kick roll there,
Again.
punished. He should really learn not to throw it or to simply hit confirm it. But he's not anti-airing here. Anti-airing for Vega is harder than it is for a lot of characters, but it is possible, especially when they do jump from neutral like that. And he's making sure to do the anti.
Oh, doesn't even know
But
that.
he missed his meaty throw there. But the throw loop did put Omni Shambles in a fairly bad situation. The mask gets knocked off. Do remember that once Vega's mask gets knocked off, that he does take 10% damage in return for giving 10% damage. So it is a balanced double-edged situation there. But Omni Shambles opting to take a claw off this time. I think he does seem to be a lot more comfortable with the claw
Yeah,
off. Tries the meaty with the heavy kick, doesn't quite work out.
trying
but-
to find a way in with that medium punch.
Yeah, the standing medium
confirming
punch
of it,
extremely
but
useful for Vega in the
just getting
neutral.
a lot of poke out of it.
If he can confirm into a target combo from that standing medium, that would be extremely dangerous. But again,
He gets the
Senza here
first
just
hit
gets the,
and then immediately goes for the second and just
Senza did go for the reset after target combo, but it didn't work out. Does get the throw off though. But a badly timed fireball from Senza gets punished by the jumping of Omni Shambles. And Omni Shambles again, not really a
oh no punish on the
or
sweep.
even with that throw. And the missed punish from Senza as well. I think all of these rolls haven't really been confirmed at all.
Oh,
Wake
drops
with the
his
V trigger.
combo.
And he gets punished.
And there's
with
another example of you can't afford to miss your punishes, guys. You've got to finish it.
Yeah, we saw two missed punishes there, which is extremely dangerous, especially at this level. But both of them just sort of poking each other out at the moment. Senza decides to make the first move, gets a tick throw from the jump, and both of them fairly content in this round to when they're not jumping over each other.
Yeah.
To sort of face them in the neutral. Omni Shambles has missed that.
Caught him while he was in the air.
But Omni Shambles does need to tighten up some of his links and tighten up some of his hit confirms to really take this. Senza now with the whole set within reach. Remember, this is first to two here, and he could take this round with a few more hits, and that should be it. That will be it with the DP combo. And we saw there the importance, basically the importance of punishes, really capitalizing.
Yeah, we've seen that quite a lot today.
Yeah, absolutely. But you can see, I can see in chat as well, a lot of the people are picking this up, that there are a lot of jump-ins that are either going unpunished, and these jump-ins.
I've seen a lot of players come into chat and then they're like, it's one of those where you're aware of the mistakes after your game has finished. You just never seem to realise why you're playing.
Yeah, it is. I think it is the nature of just tournament play where you do realise a lot of your mistakes in the retrospective
definitely
manner.
been there. RXP and Moondog TV next.
So we've got RXP here, who did lose against Shinzo earlier. And Moondog, who has a very solid Alex, took it 2-0 against Jab Jab, who unfortunately was knocked out by his Alex. So two grapplers, well, pseudo grapplers I suppose you would call them. Should be quite interesting to see them sort of mixing it up. But we'll just wait for them to come into the lobby and then we'll get the round started accordingly.
Yeah, I do want to see a bit more out of RXP. I know his Laura is really dangerous when it gets going. I got to play it last week. Pushed me very, very close. I've seen it obviously a few times before that. He can just unload on you if he gets that mix up right. Haven't been able to see it so far today.
Yeah, I think it's I think a lot of the case for RXP that I've seen in the past is just when they get the offense going, they are very dangerous, but it's just a case of how to get to that situation, isn't it? Especially for a lot of these characters who are so dangerous when you get the knockdown, especially if you have access to a lot of 50-50 mix-ups. A lot of them do struggle to get into that situation in the first place with a solid neutral game, which a lot of them need. But we've got both in lobby now, and we'll be starting with RXP versus Moondog, who should be a Laura versus Alex, unless we have an unexpected character pick.
I saw that Dawson on his favourite character open.
Yeah, I did see a Dawson pick, but he will be choosing the demonic Alex costume there against Laura RXP. So both characters with grappling potential here, starting off in this stage. Thankfully, not the training stage. But again, Moondog does have a habit of doing something at the start of every round. I think we've seen Moondog, like I've seen Moondog do an action at the start of every round with fairly, sometimes an unsafe move actually. But Moondog does get to convert a lot of damage from these stray hits. And RXP slightly on the defensive here. Doesn't really have any time for that EX fireball. Decides to charge him with EX, which does have armor.
Yeah, you can't be going for those greedy full charge fireballs against Alex because he will just EX elbow right in.
Yeah, someone who has so much damage potential from so far away, you really don't want to be giving. But again, Moondog with the stomp on the start of the round. I've seen him do that a few times now.
Gets the crush counter.
Misses that.
Whiffs his two tick throws in the corner. Seen a lot of whiffed throws today.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of repeated whiff throws where they've missed and then they try and throw again and they whiff again.
Reminds me of myself, to be honest.
But RXP does take the round, even though I think Moondog did try to jab anti-air him. And again, Moondog really rushing in at the start of that round. You've seen that every round so far from Moondog. And RXP going for the charged fireball on the wake up, but really gets punished. I don't think you can really be charging fireballs that much against someone like Alex.
Not in this matchup.
But RXP really sitting on full V trigger and super, so a lot of damage potential here to take back the round. And
one hit
with
is done.
Very dangerous with these elbows.
Oh, whiffs the throw and it cost them the game.
Decided to spend his full meter on that fence, but he did have the option of V trigger, but decided not to go with it. But very solid from Moondog. Was very aggressive in this matchup actually.
Round one.
And we'll see if Moondog charges in from the get-go. Decides not to go in. Both of them now happy to stay at full screen. RXP really risking it with these charged up fireballs.
Stomp and elbow are a real threat when you're charging up that fireball.
But sure, Moondog was making sure to try and charge his elbows.
Nice.
Gets a nice juggle from the crash gun there. And this should be a full stun combo which takes him close to death.
Nice.
And does get the fireball on wake up. I think Moondog trying to press jab or something on wake up.
Yeah, this is what I wanted to see out of RXP.
Nice reactions from RXP to manage those double dashings, which people do tend to do at the start of the round against defensive players. But nice damage conversion there from RXP. And both of them really going at it with a lot of stray hits here. I'm seeing a lot of counter hits. And Moondog deciding to press a lot.
No.
RXP does have that habit of triple dashing back.
Thinking he could get like out of range of the elbow when you just can't. Stop doing it.
Yeah, I think in this case RXP isn't not really doing much favors with putting himself at full screen so often.
Final round.
Definitely didn't. I don't think he. I don't know how he hasn't learned, but I don't think he realised the X elbow would hit him full screen.
I've seen a lot of Laura's players doing dashes a lot, back dashes a lot, because back dash tends to be very good.
Yeah.
But in this situation, it's not really working out too well for him. Moondog at match point here can take it with this round, but RXP also can bring it back to one apiece. RXP again with that habit of really sort of panic backdashing. I think that was 4 times in a row there.
Yeah.
But decides to take it back to full screen. Doesn't really choose to put him in the corner. But RXP and Moondog here, both in blue trigger, crosses him up and crosses them under, and then gets him with the double throw in the loop. But Moondog there was sitting with full V trigger and full super, could have easily converted a lot of damage from that. But RXP does take this game to bring it back to 1 apiece in this first of 2.
Definite improvement from RXP there, but he still really needs to stop these unsafe fireballs. Taking
back
far too
really
much damage.
getting
Again,
but another missed throw there. Seen quite a few of these so far.
Yeah,
but,
I know that.
Charging the fireball again. But I believe from that elbow there, you can get some potential from Laura. But
RXP, he's going for a lot of these command grabs, trying to catch Moondog on wake up, but Moondog just reading it and backdashing. Probably needs to try something else.
Round 2.
Try and get
But,
Meaty to catch that backdash on wake up.
RXP did get some successful reads from putting him in that reset mix-up.
Yeah.
That throw really should have been RXP's there from that reset, but Dog does capitalise fully on that fortune.
One
And
more
now
hit.
Moondog's the one that has RXP in the corner, nearly on stun,
Knows to be
decides to
reversal,
reduce the stun. That was a nice reversal to get out of trouble and reduce the stun. Remember, V-reversal is a good way of making sure you can reduce your stun straight away.
Again, backdashes and gets caught by the EX elbow.
Final round.
The backdash is really not doing him much
Moondog's
favours. I think he's
definitely
throwing a few
aware.
less fireballs here.
Yeah.
But nice neutral jump to try and get the read of his jump in from Moondog. But now
Oh, he's missing these
RXP
crush counter punishes though.
quite defensive here. I think he's just being really wary of
Yeah.
Moondog's relentless offense, especially in the corner. Moondog with his Alex can be extremely dangerous.
Ooh, goes for another third throw.
Goes for another throw loop, misses the loop, reads it correctly from Moondog, who neutral jumps and punishes.
Again,
But-
the backdashes.
The backdashes from RXP seems to be a staple of RXP's playstyle.
The V-trigger left for Alex and jumps into the fireball.
Yeah, questionable choice there. to
When
jump
he
in on.
had, actually, I don't even think EX elbow would have worked there because Laura's
No.
fireballs multi-hit.
But I think he was trying to jump over that fireball because there
Yeah.
wasn't really much option for him. But that was well played, good adjustments from RXP to bring it back. It was in danger of losing the entire set against Moondog, but RXP will press onwards to continue with the chance of facing off against Shinzo in the grand finals, and RXP will be facing off against Senza, who is the quite a fundamentally solid Ryu, quite defensive Ryu that we've seen so far. And the winner of that will go on to face Shadow Yuri, who is another Laura. So there's potential for a Laura mirror here, actually. In
Oh,
the,
I don't want to see that.
in the losers finals. It'll be interesting to see if that does go as a mirror, but let's not get ahead of ourselves too much, because we've got a Ryu matchup against Laura to really take care of. So we'll just wait for these two to really get started. RXP staying in the lobby because they do have to face off against Senza, and if they do take those games, they will have to stay and play for a third game in a row. Such is the nature of the losers bracket. You do have to play a lot of games in a row to try and make it back into the grand finals if you have been knocked down. But it should be interesting to see how RXP handles this because Senza is a lot different from Moondog in the respect
Yeah.
that he is a lot more defensive, tends to punish more than he goes on offense. And one thing I've seen from RXP in the past as well is that they haven't been anti-airing as much as I would have
No.
liked. So Senza can jump in, especially with that extremely dangerous light kick of Ryu.
I'd say Laura has got a good anti-air in that back medium punch and anti-air grab as well.
Yeah, I can see some anti-air potential, but we'll see here as we go into the match if RXP can pull off those anti-airs. Senza immediately with the backdash really wants to put distance between Ryu and Laura. I think Laura probably more dangerous if she does get a solid hit and a knockdown into the mix-up.
Just punish that blocked elbow though.
He's really on point with his punishes. He was
Yeah.
on point against Omni Shambles as well.
Anti-air does straight there though.
But nice view reversal from Senza to get himself out of trouble. And RXP with the pressure here to really try and get Senza's life down. Senza, as we said, quite a defensive player, tends to sit back and block a lot, which seems to be working in his favour because he does have a considerable life lead.
Yeah.
Doesn't fully punish that whiffed elbow there. could have really taken around with that.
I did like that little exchange. Senzo went for 2 jump-ins, Swiss VC thought he had the read, so he went for the elbow.
Yeah, we did see some opportunities for Senza to finish off the round earlier, but he does get the V. And again, fairly patient from Senza, just really waiting for his opportunity, which is a good skill to demonstrate at this level, I think. Not really too happy with the buttons, really content to sit forward. Stares RXP down, goes forward with the throw. Backdashes to bait out the throw, could have just gone with the shimmy there, that would have worked, but does get the stun.
That's the round. Well, that's the game.
RXP. Very quick game there against RXP. Senza just too solid, too fundamental, and really doing well to sit back and just punish.
Yeah. I think we have seen a pattern though so far this tournament, in that the 2 players who seem to have their punish game the most on point are seem to be doing the best in the tournament. Senza and wow, I've just forgotten the name of our grand finalist. Shinzo, my apologies. It's quite nice to see, but Senza's been thrown into a blender here. The Laura blender.
You've seen how dangerous the Laura blender can be, and basically taking him all the way back down to near death with the mix-up. Could have gone for the kill there, but chose not to. But does finish off anyway. I think she just traded with his cross-up, which is quite strange to see.
That's what we haven't been seeing enough of from RXP today, is enough of those blenders. They're not as easy to get going as, say, a Mika blender, but you really do need to be doing it if you want to get your damage in with Laura.
Yeah, I think RXP did actually have some success with just going ham in that.
Yeah, I felt like if it were me, I would just be playing crazy.
Yeah, I think RXP
trying to play footies with Laura, or
really hurt them against Moondog, where they were just really defensive and kind of afraid to
the
really get
backdashing and the fireballs doesn't really work.
just really wanting to protect themselves with fireballs and backdashes. But you can see here really mounting a really good offense from RXP, and does just get the throw after the empty jump.
Final round. Fight.
And they will take that to the final round of this second game. RXP with the opportunity here to take it 2-1-1 like they just did with Moondog. Seems to be something of a comeback hero here.
Yeah.
If they can come back to 2-2-1s in a row.
Getting a few of those crush counters with the stand heavy punch. Just can't convert fully off it.
Senza solid with the jab anti-air, chooses not to get into the mix up.
Ooh, goes for the dash.
Does get the chance to get an offense here, and that does close the round off for RXP, who came back from really being comfortably beaten by Senza actually. So you can see,
it's quite similar to I think that was the game we was put into losers. Did have one very strong game in that as well.
Yeah, we've seen sort of bursts of damage here.
Yeah, if you can just keep consistently outputting that crazy damage. I don't like it when he's playing safe, when he's backdashing and throwing out these full screen fireballs. It really just isn't doing anything for him.
Yeah, we've seen how effective RXP can be when they're on the offense, and I think we've not really seen it enough actually in this top 8 so far, but it's good to see that when they are sort of pushed with their backs to the wall, that they can bring out a good offense.
Oh yeah, definitely. Ooh, doesn't get his EX fireball off that crouch heavy punch, might cost him.
Oh, Senza getting a very effective punish there, misses the kick off the V trigger, but does do enough damage to bring them very close in terms of life.
Prime example, he's charging up fireballs, a full screen, eats the EX fireball.
Round 2. Fight.
I think Ryu with a V-trigger activated is quite dangerous to be
Yeah.
throwing that sort of thing against, even out
Cannot get into a fireball, or even with Laura's fireball, you just cannot be doing it against V-trigger Ryu.
But RXP is threatening a lot with these elbows on block.
Someone's
But
going to jump in.
badly timed fireball there from Senza.
This is what I want to
Senza
see.
slightly less solid with the anti-airs, allowing RXP to jump in, does get the stun, and again does get the opportunity
the
to
round.
bring this back, and that will be the round. Some good damage from RXP there.
Final round.
I'm seeing bursts of genius from RXV. I just want it to be consistent.
Yeah,
Stop
consistency
the back
really
dashing,
important in
stop
this
the
tournament.
full screen fireballs, just go ham. You're playing Laura.
Crosses up with the Tatsu, but that does put him in the corner and in a dangerous position against
Yeah,
RXP's Laura.
unsafe sweep.
And again with the sweeps.
Against
We've seen quite a
Senza,
few
who
sweeps.
is going to punish, especially with Ryu sweep.
I'm not seeing as many anti-airs as I'd liked from Senza
No.
actually. He's previously been fairly solid in the anti-air department.
Does get the AA jab, so he does know how to do it, it's just that he has been missing a couple.
Yeah, he has allowed the RXP to jump in on him fairly often, but there we do have the AA to finish.
Finish it off.
Ryu.
I think that was a bit of a commentator's boost there.
Yeah,
But he
gets
did finish
two
off the
quick
round.
AAs in succession.
Does finish off the round with the crouching heavy to anti-air.
Round one.
So good adjustments from both, but does take that round. And we have seen here RXP more willing to sort of really go in on Senza's Ryu. I think Senza a lot of the time is quite sort of happy to take his turn, block, and then take his turn again.
Yeah,
It's not really one of those players who
especially when
likes to interrupt their
RXP
turns.
is doing sort of quite a lot of unsafe things into his block. I don't see why he wouldn't just sit back, block, punish the unsafe sweeps, the unsafe elbows.
And again, we saw there
Fireball
RXP
though.
not capitalizing on that cross counter after the DP. And Senza is taking a few more risks now with the DP,
Yeah.
seeing as his health is a lot lower. And RXP does take that around. Something I'd like to see from Senza actually is the occasional DP just to show RXP that she can't, just sort of jump in on him or sort of pressure him on wake up.
Yeah.
But he is you can tell he's worked a lot on his defense, especially on wake up where he's just content to block and sort of make the correct read, which can be beneficial a lot as it's just a skill to develop. But RXP trying to press again as they have been increasingly more aggressive in the set.
Full target
again,
combo, that jump in.
No anti-air from RXP and gets caught in the throw game. You can see Senza there doing the empty jab to get the meaty timing right.
Senza again with the unsafe fireball. He's had quite a few of those.
Strange trade from there. I think cross counter managed to trade with something which I didn't see.
Yeah.
Final round. Fight.
But this does take it to final round. I believe this is match point
Match
for
point
Senza.
Senza, yeah.
Yeah. But RXP sitting on full super here. But might find it more wiser to just spend EX bars, but not really spending much of their resources.
Yeah. I hope
He's trying to bait out those. He's trying to bait out those wake up throws with backdashes, but he could easily just shimmy into a combo punish.
I hope Senza's aware that RXP has already done 2 wake up supers this tournament.
But RXP was dangerously close to stun there, but
Yeah.
wisely chose to get the V reversal off, reduce that stun. Very good option for Laura, who does have a very good V reversal.
Oh, that was smart. Not to go for the critical art and use the
Senza-
X5 That's the game there.
Senza waking up with
That
the
was
crouching
so
heavy.
smart.
Laura wins.
Strange decision
Waking up
on
with
wake
crouching
from Senza.
heavy wasn't smart, but using your bar was definitely smart.
Yeah, I could see RXP really holding off from using any of that bar at the start of the round.
I really
it
thought
did-
he was just going to wake up super, so I'm so happy to see him use it for the X5 ball twice.
But they do take it all the way to 2 games apiece, and this game will decide who is the winner of this fairly long set. We've seen fairly fairly short set so far. A lot of rounds have been concluded fairly quickly, but this one they've both been fairly patient with their games, with their offense and defense.
I was glad to see Game 5 start off with that unsafe sweep again.
We've seen a lot of unsafe sweeps this top 8.
We've seen a lot of sweeps, to be honest. It's everyone's favourite
Senza
move.
throwing out another sweep here. Does whiff, but RXP is too busy jumping over. And again with the sweep on the wake up, not the wisest option, but it does catch with the crush counter and sort of hard knockdown.
Oh, crush down into the X5 ball. Doesn't get the mix up he's looking for there.
Could have punished that EX5 ball with a jumping,
Yeah.
but chose to do an empty jump. But nice of Senza to be really capitalizing on every sort of hit that he does have. He hit confirms into combos quite well
Yeah.
and gets a lot of damage, especially a character like Ryu who can convert so much damage off a single hit.
RXP just dashing up into a Ryu tick throw there. Good reactions from Senza.
Both of them facing off. This is Senza's chance to take the set in this last round, but RXP, as we've seen, has the potential to really take these rounds back into a favourable situation. But both of them fairly evenly matched in this round, at least. RXP getting Senza in the corner, but Senza making himself into neutral. Now Senza's turn to put on an offensive bit. I think he's really keen to get this round, but it doesn't really pay off for him because he did get the stray hit from RXP straight into the combo, into the reset.
It's match
You see
point
how
for
quickly-
both players now.
Yeah, we've seen how quickly Laura can come back from a life deficit. But again, with the charge fireball, it pays off for them there. Doesn't really get any sort of get any meaningful damage off from that.
Again with the
And both
unsafe
of them-
sweep, gets punished.
Gets the crush counter, doesn't capitalize on the crush counter, however.
I haven't seen a lot of that from RXP, the roundhouse from Laura. Trying to fish for the crush counters. I guess Senza's not throwing out too many normals, but such a good tool.
Really happy to use the charge.5 as a shield
Yeah.
basically against those Hadoukens. But nice air to air from Senza to
Oh,
and nice reactions to get
that
to the
was
V-trigger, and
nice.
that should be a full duper. That does mean
eats
no
the
more
jumping
V
again.
from Senza.
Eats the jumping,
He does
gets
get
caught
one
in a
V
very
reversal.
small blender.
But
Any
this
hit
is
will do it now.
This is any hit from RXP will take this whole set. But really not being able to take any of these hits, but eventually one of them does make it through.
Senza just stopped blocking, didn't realise it was not his turn to press a button.
A barrage of hits from Laura can be extremely dangerous when you are
Yeah.
that low on life.
In those situations, guys, never stop blocking until you are certain. Even if you think you can get a jab, never worth it, really.
Yeah, we've seen Senza so solid so far, but did crack just at the most crucial moment where he didn't seem to know if it was his turn or not, but evidently it was not his turn. So RXP, after being knocked into the losers, does progress on to the losers finals. Another first to 3 here. We are going first to 3 from now on, and this will be the Laura mirror that we were talking about earlier.
Who do you favour in this one, Shadow Yuri? Which Laura has impressed you more?
I think RXP has been increasingly more and more solid as we've gone in this top 8.
I feel that as well. Especially up to that last match, he definitely evolved as the game went on, which is what you really like to see in these tournaments. People
been really good to
learning
see,
from
like,
their mistakes.
The adaptation from compared to the early rounds of top
Yeah,
8.
yeah.
It's like it does feel like a completely different player. But we'll see how familiar these two are with a mirror match with their respective characters.
Could this be the week though for RXP? He'd been entering the tournament for a few weeks now, so
Yeah, I've not seen them take the tournament so far.
No,
I'm
runner
not sure
up
if they've ever
once.
taken the tournament.
But that being said, Shinzo, very tough opponent. Awaiting either of these Lauras, to be honest.
Yeah, I think this might be. He might be one of the most dangerous grand finalists we've had so far,
Yeah.
waiting the winners. But this mirror match between RXP and Shadow Yuri taking off in the lair of the Four Kings,
Round 1.
and we'll see how familiar these two are with the characters, really mirroring themselves, going for the charge fireball from the backdash from the start. But RXP, I think taking their experience from the previous matches, really going in with the offense. And we're seeing a lot of buttons here being whiffed. There's quite a lot of whiff punishing opportunities I'm seeing here, but I think it could only take one of them trying to fish for cross counter punches to really make the other stop pressing buttons so much.
Good use of V reversal from. Actually, I can't tell which Laura I'm watching. Who's the Laura in the swimsuit?
You can see
Okay, that's Swiss VC.
Laura in the
Okay.
swimsuit with RXP there, and then Laura with the jacket. Shadow Yuri, I do realise this is fairly confusing, especially with the similar colours, but at least they are wearing at least some clothing. But RXP dangerously close to the stun. Shadow Yuri did get a really good string of offense there, but you can see the stun just draining from RXP's stun bar, and now the situations are reversed here as RXP does really want to mount the offense. Good use of V reversal from both of these,
Yeah,
actually.
definitely. We haven't seen much with this tournament, but in a game like this where both of them in each other's faces trying to pressure constantly, probably better just to spend it.
Final round.
Nice reset from Shadow Yuri, dashes under and then goes for the command throw to close out the round. But RXP, we've seen here at the beginning of these rounds, really happy to go on the offense more, I think. I think learning from previous experiences in the top 8. And I think Shadow Yuri at first was sort of taken off guard here with the offense of RXP, but seems to have settled down a little bit. And I'm seeing slightly less buttons from both of them. You can see we saw a lot of hectic button pressing at the start, but it seems to have settled down slightly. But Shadow Yuri really struggling to get out of the corner here. Uses another bar of V meter to get out of the corner with the V reversal. I think both of these two both quite keen to use their V meter for V reversal. But RXP does get the stray hit and will close off the round against Shadow Yuri to take off a first game of 3. So we'll see if Shadow Yuri can make the adjustments here. I think this match is a fairly fast-paced match. Actually, we've seen a lot of hectic button pressing.
Round 1.
But you should be able to distinguish the two more easily now that RXP's got the blue jersey on. But a lot of this matchup does seem to be on really sort of just basically guessing when it's your turn, knowing the frame data of your own character. So both of these two really going ham on each other actually. We've seen the life bars go swinging back and forth as Laura tends to do.
Non-stop buttons at the minute.
But both of these two,
Wow,
basically
that hits away twice.
the double jumping trade.
Round 2.
Neither of these Lauras want to stop jumping.
Then it doesn't seem like they want to stop jumping, and it doesn't seem like they want to stop pressing buttons. So
Yeah,
we've got
and don't want to
both
start
Lauras
anti-airing either.
really content to get into a really big brawl here, basically. But we're seeing some good Oki game from Shadow Yuri. He does get the dash-ins into the command throw.
Ooh, that dash after into the overhead was nice.
Yeah,
Caught him back
really
dashing.
punishing the backdash habits of RXP.
Turns out Laura can't run away from Laura, she can hunt you down.
Yes, that V skill is a very long overhead that will catch you and cross counter you at the same time. Very dangerous move for Laura to be throwing out when you're trying to get away from her.
Is RHP about to... Wow!
Does get the full conversion off of that.
Wow!
Lara wins.
It seemed
comes
like that
back with
came
just-
off nothing. What? Yeah, a bit too much button pressing going on here. Shadow Yuri just gets caught out and loses about a quarter of his health
Round 1.
in two rather quick conversions.
I think in this sort of matchup, I think you can't really afford to be pressing buttons that much
No.
when Laura can convert so much damage off a straight hit.
Very similar to the Mika mirror in that way. Both of you are fishing for that one big hit into a lot of damage. So there's quite a lot of button pressing going on.
Yeah, we can see the damage you're talking about here
Yeah.
isn't, it's not necessarily from the combos, it's from the ridiculous mix-up potential of getting off that straight hit in the first place.
Nice
And again,
mitigation.
both of them sort of jumping in tandem here.
But
But again, Shadow Yuri with the magic pixel of life. And RXP just sort of have to sit back and just throw fireballs from here.
yeah,
Round 2. Fight.
But RXP here on match point, this would take RXP back into the winners, into the grand finals. But if Shadow Yuri can take it back, they do have an uphill struggle to climb. But both of them still pressing a lot of buttons, still just fishing for that hit that Laura can convert off into the mix-up. But again, a lot of jumping from both of these, and they seem to be jumping at the same points. But RXP spending 2 meters to get that pressure on the way, get that knockdown, but Shadow Yuri content to spend that meter 4 V reversal
oh, that was
into the
nice.
tick throw, into the tick command grab. And this would be Shadow Yuri's last chance to take this game and take it back to 2-1 and prevent himself from getting knocked out of losers. And again, a lot of jumping. Seems to be playing a game of the floor is lava here.
And
and
I
again-
don't think we've seen a single anti-air this game.
No, both of them not really really been solid with their anti-airs.
Yeah, I
in
feel
the
like
previous
a
rounds.
good anti-air game here could probably win either player the game.
Yeah, and we've seen especially against the game with the Nakali in grand finals,
Shinzo,
that
yeah.
Shinzo, yeah. But Shadow Yuri does take it back 2-2-1, was on the verge of getting knocked out completely, but does have a second chance here. So a bit more work to do from Shadow Yuri. He needs to take it back to 2-2 if he is to prevent himself from getting knocked out of losers.
Round 1.
But we've seen here how Laura can really come back from a life deficit in kind of a blink, really. But again, both of them sort of hectically pressing buttons and jumping in at will. There's again not a lot of anti-airs going on here, but nice air to air from Shadow Yuri. I think that might be the only anti-air attempt I've seen so far.
Keeps the pressure on to maintain the stun bar, gets thrown into the corner, loses
Stun
all
bar
that
draining again from
advantage.
Mark P. Nice
Good
view reversal
reversal.
to get themselves out of trouble. And both of them are a lot more happy to spend the V reversal instead of going for the V trigger.
Yeah. I'd like to think one of them was like aware of it at this point and maybe tries to throw the other out of it.
Yeah, I think they've thrown enough for one to anticipate
Yeah.
some sort of V reversal bait into a throw.
Round 2. Fight.
Shadow Yuri pulling it back slowly.
Yeah, pulling it back on his way to 2-2, which would take it into the final game of the set. We've already had a 2-2 before, and this could be the second one. But RXP mounting his offense again. But Shadow Yuri just catching up with him with the command grab. That backdash of RXP punishing him, getting them into trouble yet again. Gets the crush counter, doesn't convert off the crush counter. Could have taken the round there, but missed the full punish. As we said there, a lot of missed opportunity, but RXP again getting killed with full V trigger and full super.
And we've seen him do work with that meter before. We saw it in the last game. So it's a bit disappointing not to see him use anything there.
Yeah, we've seen him against Moondog as well earlier on, using that V meter towards the tail end of that round to take it. So RXP in the blue jersey here does have a bit of work to do now that Shadow Yuri's brought it back to even to 2-2, and so this game will decide the winner and who goes on to face Shinzo in the grand finals. Again, they do seem to be jumping at the same time, catching each other with the air-to-airs at the same time. But the throw loop...
Nice throw loop there.
But they are being quite smart with the reversals. The jump-ins, getting caught with the air-to-airs again. RSP again, he had the life lead again, but that backdash again...
Yeah, full backdashes again.
Really wanted to get a space.
That's how I know I'm watching Swiss PC at this point.
But if Shadow Yuri couldn't sort of capitalise that, if he notices the multiple backdashes, I'm sure the V skill, the overhead V skill, would catch them quite easily.
Ooh, the neutral jump. Just catches him elbowing it.
Shadow Yuri, with the sliver of life left with the grey life taken off, does take the round against RXP to bring this to match point.
Again, with the air-to-airs.
Again, another free jump in allowed from RXP, and both of them, I'm seeing a lot of counter hits here. They're not really sure when to actually take their turn back, because Shadow Yuri here getting a lot of counter hits, and this could potentially be the round for Shadow Yuri to take it, because he is doing very well in his offense against RXP Swiss. But RXP Swiss now is in the corner, very dangerous when Laura has you in the corner. RXP again sitting on that V trigger and that full super, with Shadow Yuri with no V reversal potential either. So we've seen the V reversal there, happy to take it again, happy to spend that V meter instead of going for that V trigger, which probably a wise decision.
Ooh, missed the tick throw to finish the round, but the air to air finishes.
Just about misses the tick throw there.
Trade air to air.
Final round.
Wonder how many times have we seen that traded air to air? But RXP did make use of some of the boosters at the end of that round. Seems to make a habit of saving it until late in the round.
Quarter circle forward kick with Laura, guys. It's an anti-air grab. It's really good. Especially if your opponent's jumping a lot.
You can catch a lot of jump-ins even at awkward angles, surprisingly actually. Once again, there is an anti-air attempt there, but it is traded from Yuri.
Anti-air jab though. That was nice. Oh, grabs onto V reversal finally.
Finally gets the baits out the V reversal.
And that wins him.
Could have baited it again, but RXP does take this. RXP's had a lot of work to do in this tournament so far, but has taken it all the way from losers. I think that's their second set with 5 games in it. They must be quite tired by now actually, but they do still have to sort of psych themselves up because they do go to grand finals where they will be facing off against Shinzo, avenging the loss of Shadow Yuri. So we can see here RXP, if they have the potential to reset the bracket and take it into another game, but Shinzo, an extremely tough opponent to take on.
Yeah, I won't judge RXP too harshly for that because it was a mirror, but if he plays like that against Shinzo, might not stand much of a chance. Really needs to clean it up. Definitely needs to stop jumping.
Yeah, I'm concerned that those jump-ins might have ingrained some habits there, because if you jump in that much against someone like Shinzo or someone like Nikali, who has extremely good anti-air options, then that's pretty much just asking for trouble, isn't it?
Yeah, playing a game like that before you have to play someone who's got just really clean anti-airs like Shinzo, not the best warm-up in the world.
Especially if you do get anti-airs with the DP, that instantly puts the situation in Nikali's favour.
Yeah.
Extremely dangerous, especially when he does have something like V-Trigger to dash up to you upon your wake up.
Just waiting for
But,
Shinzo, guys. And he's in.
We do have Shinzo now in the lobby, so we'll be moving on to the grand finals of this tournament so far. Been a fairly long top 8 because we have had some very close sets
Yeah.
where RXP has put in some work here, brought some sets back from 2-0.
Yeah, we've
But
had
this is the final step for them. Let's see if they can reset the bracket. But Shinzo, who by now should be fairly well rested, does get the advantage of just having to win this set to take the tournament. So here we have RXP facing off against Shinzo in the grand finals of the European tournament in the mysterious cove, the home of Nikali. And we can see if RXP's made any adjustments from their previous matches. Hopefully they shouldn't jump in as much. Maybe they've been paying attention to Shinzo's previous matches. But backdashes immediately, goes into the charge fireball as we've seen previously. I think we might see a more defensive display from RXP this time, but goes on the offense, catches a few straight hits.
Yeah, already looking better. We haven't seen a single jump yet from Swiss PC. Unfortunately, he gets jumped in on himself.
Not only does RXP have to think about not jumping in, they have to really mind the jumps of Shinzo because I haven't seen too many anti-air attempts from them at all this tournament.
And Shinzo's getting away with a lot of jumps here.
Shinzo jumped 3 times in a row in that round at some point. But Shinzo had the opportunity to activate his V-trigger at some point, but went for the V-reversal. Does take them both to very close.
Oh, that was unfortunate.
And does get a straight hit off that standing medium kick.
Probably should have tried the V-reversal out of the corner there. It was unfortunate for him.
Both of them now sitting on full super, so you can see a lot of damage conversion potential off any hit here. So I think both of them recognise it fairly well, so they're being fairly cagey in terms of if one of them can even hit confirm into a super, especially Nikali, who has a lot of damage potential. But Nikali spending that first bit of EX meter, misses the command grab, but Laura gets her own command grab off. I think Shinzo's trying to bait out the throw here with walking up in between his combos and throwing up another normal, but RXP seems to be falling for it.
Neutral jumps, catches him into a forward conversion into the storm. Rather
That's
brutal.
the second time he's simply neutral jumped on wake up. He's baited out the throw on the wake up with the neutral jump, and I think RXP will be fairly disappointed with that round actually. After I think they tried to tech twice upon the wake up. He really got baited out by the neutral jump.
It started a lot better and then kind of faded back into how it was in winners final.
Round 1.
But Shinzo will take that first round against RXP.
Dash in,
But
sweet.
RXP has shown that they can come back from a large deficit in games. But Shinzo being really dangerous with just throwing out those mediums. He can convert quite a bit of those mediums if he does get the hit off. But RXP taking a lot of risk here with the charge fireball. Quite easy to jump over.
Presses buttons and gets tagged by the crush counter. Sorry about that, guys.
But again, jumping in
Yeah.
and Shinzo making sure to stay solid with those anti-airs.
Round 2. Fight.
But Shinzo starting immediately off in this second game in this grand final set. But they're sort of catching each other with stray hits here. There's not that much damage conversion going on at the moment. But RXP does catch him in the throw loop, doesn't capitalise fully off it. But gets an elbow off, doesn't get the mix up as Shinzo jumps over the command throw attempt. He's doing a lot of these neutral throws to try and bait out these throw attempts from RXP. Some of them paying off. You can see in the last game, I really just took a whole round off from those neutral jumps. Especially someone like Nikali can convert so much damage.
Again with the jump in, just immediately DP.
And I'm fairly sure we've not seen a blocked all with DP all top 8 at this point.
Nope. And again.
Lands again. RXP trying to mount some sort of offense to come back, but Shinzo happy to spend the DP.
I would say Swiss PC need to try and bait these DPs, but they are really hard to get. Shinzo's mixing it
Shinzo
up
being
well enough.
Very smart with the DPs,
Yeah.
which you have to be when you're waking up like that.
Round 1. Fight.
Well, RXP again backdashing with the charge fireball. I'm not sure what they're trying to get off from there in that distance with the charge fireball, but Shinzo respects the space early on.
Just backdashing again, full screen.
Again, not much
I don't
attempt
like
at
giving
anti-airing,
up all that space.
but we've seen how dangerous Nikali can be, especially at this distance. I think
Again,
RXP just trying to jump out of the corner gets caught again
So
with the
good
DP.
with these DPs. That's got to be stunned.
This will be stun, and this could easily be the round here. And does finish off the round with the simple stun combo.
Round 2. Fight.
So again, both of these are facing off. Shinzo at tournament point here. And again, baiting out that tech attempt from RXP. And again, he's walked up and tried to bait out the tech attempt, or trying to fish for a counter hit, but
Does get that,
RXP's not falling for any of his tricks.
does get that stand roundhouse crush counter punish.
I think I've lost count of the amount of times that Shinzo's baited out that throw with the neutral jump as well.
Yeah.
But now he's really piling on the pressure now. He really wants to get to secure that tournament point. But RXP won't go down without a fight. He's trying to mount some offense. But Nikali really dangerous here, really sitting on full super, can convert a lot of damage off any sort of hit. Building up so much grey life, you
Rather
can see
just
how much damage
EXDP.
that really paid off. And again, another DP landing for Shinzo.
Decides to go
See,
full
yeah,
screen,
then
play it
just-
safe.
Yeah, he's really happy to play it safe with the V skills and stay at full screen because he does have the life lead. Only 30 seconds left for RXP to do something. If not, that will be the tournament for Shinzo.
Does use a meter for V reversal. Hopefully doesn't end up regretting that.
Just one hit now from, but doesn't get the mix up.
Smart
V
V
triggers.
reversal. That's going to
Very smart V reversal. But the super there would have chipped anyway.
Nikali's super being a hit, not a grab, despite the fact it looks a bit like a grab.
Yes, just 3 seconds left on the clock there, but we saw him happy to spend the super, get the chip. And that will be the tournament for Shinzo.
I
So
think
well done to Shinzo, and well done to RXP.
Yeah. Very worthy winner though, Shinzo, this week. I think it was quite obvious even from winners final that anyone would have struggled to beat him, to be honest.
Yeah, we can see some
Such
people
good
in
play.
the chat have noticed he just stayed really calm on the pressure.
Yeah.
He chose his right moments to get those DPs off, chose his right opportunities for damage.
Didn't whiff a
So-
single DP all of top 8, which is
No,
really great to see.
yeah, the DP is really solid from Shinzo.
Yeah.
I think he was just really had a good presence of mind and I saw in the previous rounds with Shinzo in winners finals and earlier on where he was just doing the right things. He was walking up, trying to bait the throw, get the counter hit, which didn't work most of the time against RXP because I think they weren't in the presence of mind to try and do the tech. But I think a lot of good tech from Shinzo, a lot of high level stuff I've seen. Some really subtle stuff I think people could learn from just watching this.
I think with play like that, I don't think we'll see him in the tournament much longer. I assume he's going to be gold sometime soon.
Yeah, remember one of the functions of this tournament is to get people sort of basically graduating to gold. Really, I think the previous winner, Alison's body,
And the previous runner-up.
and the previous runner-up, they both graduated to gold rank. I think one of the main purposes of this tournament is to really help you boost you up into that gold rank and make sure you're really taking on those golds and holding your own, because it's a tough world in there.
Yeah. Oh,
Mobile from
yeah.
RXP and Shinzo in the grand finals. Fairly convincing win for Shinzo, but RXP doing really well to bring it back from in the bottom pits of the losers brackets. Got some very long sets going down from 2-0 down.
Thanks to everyone that competed, actually, because you all made this the biggest beginner intermediate underdog tourney we've had. There's 29 people.
Yeah, we've had a really solid amount of sign-ups actually in the European tournament. Usually they sign up in the last sort of hour really, but just checking the brackets this morning, I could see that we had at least 19 sign-ups.
Yeah,
even just before the whole rush of the check-in.
Yeah, it's really to everyone who did compete. Hang around in the Discord and feel free to obviously to compete again next week. Because as long as you remain under gold, you can compete as many times as you want. We'd love to see everyone back. Really, keep growing the tournament.
Yeah, I've seen a few good comments of people really clearly enjoying themselves in the tournament, even if they didn't necessarily make it that far. But it's all about really improving and seeing. Even if you do lose, if you do go 2-0, then the worst case scenario is that really just get a free replay against a better player that you can really watch and analyze and see why you lost against those players.
Definitely.
But I've seen a few comments saying see you next week. Why don't you not see us next week? Why don't you just hang around in the Discord and just hang around, have a chat with some of the players that actually might have performed well or even beat you. And get some sets against your fellow Europeans.
I definitely want Grimwood to hang around. I really want another EU Mika to stay in the Discord. Because at the minute, all we've got is an NA Mika, and I can't play with him because he's in Texas. So please, everyone, feel free to hang around in the Discord. It's really great. Run lobby. EU lobby is run nearly every night, so you'll never struggle to find games or lobbies with anyone.
Yeah, most nights there are people in the EU setting up lobbies and just playing against each other, and that's really what makes probably the easiest, most efficient way of making sure you're making steady progress. Because even if you're not winning consistently in these lobbies, winning really doesn't matter as long as you're focusing on something, honing in a skill and really improving it day to day. Yeah,
definitely. There is actually an EU fight night tomorrow, so that will be 9 o'clock Central European time. So again, feel free to stay in the Discord. Feel free to join that lobby tomorrow, or join any lobby you see, to be honest.
Yeah, there's a fight night tomorrow for EU participants, and also I believe the general tournament is on the weekends.
It's the monthly, not this weekend though, because we've got the monthly tournament.
Right.
So, but for all that, and the monthly tournament and the weekly are both available to any skill level. Even if you are bronze, feel free to take part. It's all in good fun, even if you lose. It's always fun to get beaten down by some super diamond like I did the last time I joined the monthly.
Yeah, I think it's actually really valuable to get a replay basically against diamond players, because it's very rare that you get the opportunity to face up against diamond players, so you should really just treasure it and make the most of it.
Yeah, definitely.
But again, to everyone who participated and everyone who's watching, thanks for making this tournament really enjoyable to comment and watch. And I'm sure a lot of you will be seeing a lot of you throughout the Discord throughout the whole week. And I'm sure we'll see a lot of you participating next Thursday at the same time. We did push it back an hour to make sure I did manage to make it.
Don't know about everyone else, but everyone else do leave feedback in the Discord, but I definitely feel like this time slot worked a bit better than the earlier time slot we were doing before.
Yeah, so hopefully the EU scene will be growing, and I'm sure I'll see loads of you in the Discord just chatting to your fellow Europeans, getting sets, getting some practice. But for now, I think that will be it from us. So well done to everyone who played.
Alright, thanks a lot guys, see you next week.
Thanks for watching.